The majority of civilization has forfeited nature.
The built environment accounts for 40% of global emissions. That's massive. That's a huge piece of the pie.
The built environment accelerates so quickly that in the process, we've lost ourselves and what it means to be living in concert with the environment and not against it.
That low-density development was a great idea in the 60s when we thought growth had no limits. We know it has limits.
We have all the, quote, technology, the knowledge, the know-how to bring that to almost zero. We have everything we need right now.
Environmentalism has to be part of our architecture. How about we do something that regenerates nature?
How can we be smarter with how we build our cities? That focus can really help drive change.
If you want to innovate and do something special, it's never an easy thing to do. You know, politics always lags, whereas people with a vision of the future, they lead the way.
As Americans, we are proud of our skyscrapers, and justly so. Great thrusts of steel and stone and glass etched against the skyline.
What amazing achievement there has been in America. A beautiful reminder that the wilderness of this land was reduced to a dynamic civilization with the simple axe.
They pinnacle the dreams of the man on the street.
When I was studying architecture in the 70s, there were all these buildings that had been built in the 60s and 70s that were just appalling buildings. You know, when I started designing buildings were single glazed. They circulated 100% of their air, no fresh air in buildings. They didn't care about the asbestos and all of the other things that were in the building that were poisoning the people who were in there. There was lead in paint, you know. Think about this. It's just ridiculous. We now know how to make buildings that don't use any energy, buildings that don't produce any carbon emissions in their operation. We're looking very carefully at what carbon is embedded in the buildings that we build to be respectful of nature and create environments that are healthy for everyone.
We've always had a model shop. It's always important to present ideas in 3 dimensions so people can understand them.
And I realized how powerful they were as part of telling stories. It's absolutely critical. I have a degree in arts. I ended up going to one particular architect and looking at his office and going, wow, this is a place where you can be creative. I was inspired by the idea that rather than destroy parts of the environment and build a building, how about we do something that's positive for the environment, that regenerates nature? In a way, VanDusen Gardens represents all of the things that I think are important. First of all, it's a setting in nature. And secondly, we deliberately chose a place where there was almost no nature. And then if we could bring nature in as part of the building, then we'd be adding to nature. We'll be adding to biodiversity. And the purpose is to expose the general public to this whole idea that there's so much to learn from nature. It's shaped like the petals of a native orchid that's found in the rainforest of British Columbia. The roof goes down and it touches the ground, so the critters can come up and feed on the roof. There are butterfly species supported by the wild onions on the roof. They hadn't been there for some time, and they came back. This is the heating and air conditioning and ventilation system right here you're looking at. In the summertime, when the sun is high, it shines off the dark aluminum and heats it up, and the ventilation comes from outside windows, and out the top there, all those windows open up. In the wintertime, when the sun's lower, it shines on this white painted part, and so it's not so hot, so there isn't so much ventilation. But that's it. There isn't a single fan in this building anywhere. On the roof, there's hot water solar tubes that are preheating the water in the bathrooms. The light that you see in the daytime, it comes from a solar collector. There are panels of photovoltaics in the parking lot and on the roof that are providing electricity. It's a zero carbon building. It treats its own sewage. We're contributing to nature. It's called regeneration, and it's so important. So in a way, it's one of my most successful buildings. It's achieved all kinds of awards, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing is it's giving back to nature. I see a light at the end of the tunnel, so I feel good about that. Take the baton and run with it. Make the building industry a place that helps cure the environment, not harm it.
There's all kinds of things we can learn from nature. And I always think of nature as being so efficient. Things are strong where they need to be strong. They bend where they need to bend. And for a long time, the way we've built things is to say, we're here and it's permanent. You know, we're gonna channel the water this way. We're gonna hold the wind back this way. And we don't really build with nature. Things can't survive climate change if we keep doing what we're doing. And so therefore we need to build with resiliency in mind, and our best lessons are coming from nature. I think right now we're at a place where there's many more solutions that exist that can't get implemented. There's all this lethargy about trying to solve the problems because it's no longer as much a technical problem. We need to continue to do R&D, we need to continue to find new solutions. We actually need to implement a lot of the solutions that we have. That's the key. That's the kind of solutions that we need today.
20, 30 years ago, there was no care and consideration for how humans are connected to the outside world when they're in the built environment. It didn't take long for us to realize how unhealthy that was, for humans to feel so cut off from their environment.
If we can make communities where people can live there within their share of the Earth's resources, then we can start to kind of turn things around. That's the guiding principle. What you're looking at was paper mills. So all of this space was contaminated, fenced off area for like 150 years. I'm one of the founding partners of the Zibi development, this concept that we came up with to take a contaminated derelict site and turn it into what we hope will be the world's most sustainable community. And it's hard, I'll tell you, it's very hard, but it's a pretty special place. We learned with other developments that we did that it's really hard in our climate to get to net zero at the building scale. The norm is to use gas. In the case of Zibi, what we have is a factory next door. It's about a kilometer away. They're bringing river water in, they're heating it up, and when it's done the process, it's still hot. So what we're doing is before it goes back to the river, we're capturing the heat. And then at Zibi, we push that heat to all of the buildings. And then on the cooling side, what we do is we kind of collect the heat from the buildings, and we have a system that allows us to reject that to the river. And so what we have is post-industrial waste heat, otherwise going to the atmosphere, but you can only do that at the scale of a community.
Say yes to everything that comes towards you. You'll realize how many opportunities unfold in front of you by doing that.
Set some small goals, work really hard towards them, learn from that, and then make it a bigger goal. If you're just saying nothing's ever going to change and I'm not powerful, you're not going to make change. We need to fight for the planet, and you need to engage in it.
In 1984, the Don Valley Brick Works closed. The raw materials necessary for brick production were all tapped out. This left behind a rather heavy industrial footprint. 16 industrial buildings, a damaged floodplain ecosystem, and contaminated soil.
Right now, people are tackling very specific issues, but these issues are sort of being looked at in a siloed way. And if we can have solutions that can address a multitude of these issues at once, why wouldn't we do that? And for Evergreen, public place is one of those pieces that can unlock many solutions. Evergreen is a national not-for-profit transforming public spaces in our cities to create a healthier future for people and planet. It was abandoned for about 20 years. Something that's neglected, how can you revive it to a space where people want to come, walk their dogs, bring their kids, to really making it a shining example of what you can do with a brownfield development site. So Evergreen started in 1991 to bring nature back into the city. We recognize that public spaces within cities are multi-solving. If you do them right, they can have so many benefits in a wide array of areas. That focus within our cities can really help drive change.
Evergreen Brick Works is an incredibly unique space in the fabric of the city. This was a quarry for many, many years where they drew slate out of these big pits and turned it into bricks. Now it's a wildlife sanctuary. Alongside this natural backdrop, it provides people with so much opportunity to kind of rethink themselves and their relation to nature, and they can go to the farmer's market and get local food that's grown here.
Many of us aren't connected anymore to where our food comes from, to where our waste goes, and having spaces that deepen that connection allow us to solve these bigger problems that we're facing that take all of us working together.
Early in my career, I was quite concerned about the disconnect between children and nature. Brickworks really has this unique opening up of opportunity, allowing their kids to even engage in a little bit of risky play, to explore with loose parts and spend some time in the children's garden. It's really a fulfilling experience.
We know that about 80% of Canadians are living in urban areas. We really need to reconcile how we need to live. That is what will help us collectively move forward. We are beholden to nature. We have to be smart with how we grow, how we live, so that we're living in a way that's harmonious, resilient, and regenerative.